Welcome everybody to Properly Paranoid. I am Jay. This is my beautiful co-host, the lovely but soft-spoken Dead Bob. What a day. What a day for ufology. First, we had a congressman out of Tennessee that I call Big Balls Burchette. His real name is Representative Tim Burchette. He is the product. If Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger had a baby, it would be Representative Tim Burchette. He stands in front of Congress today and tells the world that we can handle the truth and demands transparency. I'm going to play that clip for you right now.
Last summer's UFO report, Mr. Speaker, from the Director of National Intelligence was bogus. The report raised more questions than answers about unidentified objects in the skies. It stunk of a government cover-up, Mr. Speaker. Now the Pentagon is starting a new office to collect information on these unidentified objects. The office is called the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group. I don't know where they came up with that name. I'm sure they paid somebody a lot of money to come up with that. I do not trust this new office, Mr. Speaker. I don't think it'll be transparent with lawmakers or the public about its findings. This is a national security issue. Congress needs to know what is going on so we can respond accordingly. Today, I'm requesting the leaders of this new office bring members of Congress on their bring them in on their UFO findings. This is a matter of great public interest and has been for a very long time to a lot of Americans. Our government should not hide the truth from us for another second. If this new office is to be held accountable, our country will get more reports like the one that came out last summer, or worse, they will be silent and hope we all just forget about the phenomena. We do not need to fear these airborne and unidentified objects. They would have shown themselves to be dangerous a long time ago by now if they were a threat. Our citizens and country can handle the truth, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the remainder of my time.
Balls. Big Balls Burchette. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Representative Big Balls Burchette. And what he just did was basically tell Congress that this new office is full of shit. We're not going to get anywhere with it. And Congress needs to be briefed so we can have hearings about it on Capitol Hill and we can assess what's truly happening in our skies. And I don't think it's just our skies. You know, there's tons of things attached to this. Kudos to you, Representative Tim Big Balls Burchette. You are a hero for truth. And my, oh my, you have a set of nuts, my friend. I'm sorry, but you got some nuts. Now, what an interesting day I had. I was almost in the camp of believing Lue Elizondo for just a brief second. For just a brief second. Then I really thought about it. I thought, I almost fell into his trance. You know, the trance. That Lue Elizondo trance. Because the guy is fascinating. He's incredibly well-spoken, relatable. You want to believe Lue. You want to believe him. But for a while, I've been asking this question. Is Lue Elizondo work for the government in any form? Does Lue work for the government? And that question, I didn't know, had been asked. And it had been answered. And I'm going to play that clip for you right now.
So this is a question really to quell conspiracy. Okay? It's a question that I've gotten a couple of times, and I wanted to just get your reaction to it. And I've never heard the question asked. I'm sure it has been because you've done a million interviews, and we thank you for all your time. I can't even imagine how many hours you put into doing this kind of stuff.
For nothing.
Not for nothing, but
For no pay, I mean.
no, yeah, no compensation. So the question is, are you a civilian?
I am a civilian.
Okay.
There's a difference between a government employee and a government contractor. We're all civilians. Government employees too are civilians, unless you're wearing a uniform. I am absolutely a civilian. I think you're asking me, I am employed by the United States government, and ask that question very carefully, and maybe I can give you a good answer. Are you asking me, am I
It's a clearance
government
question.
employee, or am I working as a contractor in that capacity?
Well, it's a clearance question. The question was, if he's a civilian, why does he have a TSSCI clearance?
Because I am currently a government contractor, and that's all I'm prepared to say right now.
Boom.
But I am
There
a
you go.
government contractor.
And that makes sense. And that's the reason why you have it. And that's exactly what I wanted you to say. You know, like,
Boy, oh boy, did those guys do really well following that question up. Because I think the first thing I would have done was chased after that. But nope, they were in Lue's trance as well. So now we know Lue Elizondo still works for the government. That poses a problem for me. Let me explain. Bob, are you ready? All right. Bob said, go on. So I'm going to go on. Think about it, folks. Lue Elizondo is supposed to be a whistleblower on one of the greatest questions humanity has ever had. Are we alone? He meets with 3 journalists in 2017, and that's when the New York Times story breaks. As a result of this meeting that he had in an undisclosed location, where Lue sat with his back to the wall staring at the door as he's meeting with these reporters. Then comes To the Stars Academy, where I guess the CIA decided they wanted to get disclosure out, so they decided to hitch their wagon to Tom Ding Dong DeLong. I mean, whoever made that call was completely retarded. I'm sorry. But Tom DeLong is not the messenger. I can't believe that somebody even thought that would work. I mean, come on. You know, now you've seen it. Lue Elizondo is still working for the government. That's kind of conflicting, you know. He promised us to see all these new videos, and we were going to get this meta materials and all this stuff. And I'm going to read you something. This comes directly from Lue. I've said for the record that the 3 videos that have come out, as interesting as they are probably the least compelling that we had. And that is why I'm so concerned about the new recent revelations that the Pentagon has deleted or destroyed my emails and my files. Because there were documents on and in it in a very comprehensive shared folder that we had. That was, pretty incredible. There it was. I mean, it was. There was some very, very high definition, high fidelity videos that was in there that when you looked at it, you realized, hey, that's not one of our aircraft. Lue Elizondo. How does that happen, Lou? How does a guy who still works for the Pentagon have the Pentagon erase his emails and all his material, but they still employ you? And here's another one. Let's keep going down this rabbit hole. You still work for the government, but you are a whistleblower. It's not making too much sense. That's where I get severely conflicted. Okay? I mean, come on. It's a great story. It's a great story, you know, the hero that resigned from his top post because of an embargo of truth against the American people on one of the greatest questions in humanity. It's a great story. And now you're out there everywhere, hopscotching between news organizations. You're on CNN, you're on Fox, you're here, you're there. You talk to everybody. And as always, Lue will not go into any detail about what he does for the United States government. Bob, you find that weird too, right? Bob says, yup. I've given the guy a chance, and I'm still going to give him a chance because I want to believe Lue. He puts you in a trance. Those guys that were talking to him, they were obviously in a trance because they ask a question. They say, we're going to put a conspiracy to rest. And all Lue did was just fed that fire. But he's done so many interviews, it's hard to see everything that Lue says because, I mean, you can spend days and days and days listening to Lue. Is Lue reading from a script? I believe Lue Elizondo is reading from a script. Do I know why or who? No. You know, let's look at the whole director of the ATIP program. You know, it wouldn't be that hard to put out some sort of a material, something, a memo, an email, a freaking note, something that shows that you were the director of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. But we did get a letter. We got a letter from Senator Harry Reid. Right here. I'm going to read that for you. To whom it may concern, all of us. As the United States Senate Majority Leader, I worked with Republican Senator Ted Stevens of Alaska and Democratic Senator Dan Inouye of Hawaii to secure $22 million of funding for what would become known as the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. An unclassified but unpublicized investigatory effort dedicated to studying unidentified aerial phenomenon. As one of the original sponsors of ATIP, I can state as a matter of record Lue Elizondo's involvement and leadership role in this program. Mr. Elizondo is a former intelligence officer who has spent his career working tirelessly in the shadows on sensitive national security matters, including investigating UAPs. As the head of ATIP, he performed these duties admirably. Sincerely, Harry Reid. Okay. One piece of paper that's hearsay from another person stating that you were the director of the ATIP program. Now, I'm curious. Why won't you put an email, a memo, something that proves you are who you say you are? I mean, Lue, you did say it. You said it yourself, man. Extraordinary claims need extraordinary proof. And you said that in regards to another intelligence officer who made an extraordinary claim about aliens being in a mountain and she was going to take all these people there, and it didn't happen. Now, I'm not saying you're full of shit. I'm just saying it's getting weirder and weirder and weirder. How can somebody be labeled a whistleblower on one of the humanity's greatest secrets being kept from us and still be employed by the government? And then you claim that the Pentagon deleted all your emails and all your files. Don't you think a trained intelligence officer would have backup for days of this? I mean, wouldn't that be CIA training 101, like have a dead man switch. But nope, it was just an excuse. It's like an excuse to me. An excuse that you didn't have this material. And I'm looking at it from a different view. A lot of people want to be spoon-fed and not question things, and they would just want to swallow them. And okay, sure, I believe everything you say. I don't. I think that you're a hero for what you've done for your country. I commend you and I salute you for that. But where my faith starts dying is connecting the dots. You know, my problems are you sat at a dinner and you claimed that you were a remote viewer. Was, were, is. Then when you're asked about that, that question gets deflected. I'm curious why you deflect that question, A. B, you can't invoke your NDA clause because anybody that sat at that table must have had to been read in that program, sir. So are you? Are you a remote viewer? Are you or are you not? Because that would be very interesting. Because if you are, that just opens the book up for a whole bunch of questions. Now, I know that you were connected to Hal Putoff, so is it possible that you are a remote viewer? Absolutely. I don't throw nothing out. Everything is viable. Everything. I'm just being analytical and putting it together because we've had many come before you that we have tried to hitch our wagons to. And this one is starting to look a little... It started off murky, now it's really murky. And I think I figured out what happened with To the Stars Academy. You ready for my theory? All right, tell me if I got this one. Everybody's asking for you to go on Joe Rogan show. Mellon already did it. And I think the reason that you are not going on is because shortly after Tom Ding Dong DeLong went on Joe Rogan's podcast, To the Stars Academy went poof. You want to know why? Because Tom DeLong made himself look like an ass, and Joe Rogan picked his shit apart. I think if there's one person that would pick you apart and not care, it would be Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan would dismantle everything that you say, and he would analyze every word that came out of your mouth. I think whoever is handing you the script to read off of, the last thing that they want is you to go on Joe Rogan. Because they can't have this fail. They've got you and Mellon. They have hitched their wagons now to you and Christopher Mellon. They've got Mellon out here talking to people, and they got you hopscotching between news organizations. I mean, hellfire, you are on CNN, you're on Fox, you're on MSNBC, you're on Australia's news, you're on British news, you're everywhere. And I mean, come on, folks, think about that. Think about that. I want to believe everything that Lue says. He puts you in a trance. It's like, whoa, this guy is telling the truth. Oh my God, he put you in a trance. The problem is, that's all it is. It's a trance. Because I am now leaning more towards the side that there's something else. There's something else to play here. There's something else going on here. And if you can't see that and you don't have the balls to ask these questions, I don't know what to tell you. If you fall for something, you'll fall for anything. I don't want to fall. This is one of the biggest questions that we have ever asked as a human being. Are we alone? So, fast forward, we have a guy who is on every news station, agency, podcast, show, does interviews, talks to anybody, except the people that will press him. Except those people. Have you seen him on Third Phase yet? Have you seen him talk to Goofon, Truth Seekers, anybody? I would love to talk to him. I would be nice, and I would ask questions. I would want him to make me a true blue believer. But I don't think I'm going to be a true blue believer because, think about it, man. You still work for the government? How the hell does that work? But you sit with your back to the wall staring at a door while you're talking to reporters. Like, you resign and then you go back to work for the government? After you make this incredible claim, your resignation letter, all it states is that you're doing this because of an embargo of truth on the American people under the whole issue of, are we alone and we can handle it, and that's what you're doing. You're out here, hoorah, I'm going to bring the truth to the American people. And you quit your job, but then you go back to work for them and claim you're a whistleblower and all this other hoorah. Does not make sense, man. Doesn't make sense. You came from nowhere. And then you guys hitched your wagons to Tom DeLonge. Like, come on, man. And you haven't put out one shred. Not one shred of evidence. Nothing. Nothing. It's disheartening because, man, I want to believe Lue. I want to believe everything Lue Elizondo says because he is a compelling dude. He is very much a compelling guy. You know, one of the other questions that I have is about the ATIP program. Don't you think they would put in place somebody who studies physics or has an aerospace background? Like an aerospace engineer, or like, you know, some physics professor or some doctor. No, they put in an intelligence officer. That doesn't make sense to me. Then, my other question is, did you run the ATIP program through the purview of another office? Did you do that? What are you doing now for the government? Can you answer that one? Well, I mean, in that interview, you said that's all you choose to say at this current time. Like you say on pretty much any time somebody gives you a pressured question. I can't talk about that right now. I'm telling you, my spidey sense is up. Look, it's getting late. We're going to have another show tomorrow. We're going to pull David Wilcox's skirt up for an hour and a half. We got some really good stuff tomorrow. Dead Bob, do you got anything? He says, go ahead, Big Balls Burchette. Now look, make your own mind up. Don't be spoon-fed. Question everything and everyone. We got to look at the history of this field, man. We got to. Many, many have come before and made incredible claims. It's this field, and it shouldn't be that way. And I'm going to tell you something, man. We're living in a awesome time. This is starting to really become a matter of like serious national attention. And we need not to forget the ones that have come before. The true blue people, like the witnesses to Roswell, that tried to tell their story and were ridiculed and stigmatized and made fun of and lost jobs. Or the people that have tried their stories of their encounters, their regular run-of-the-mill, salt-of-the-earth people that encounter these awesome craft in the sky, and they're laughed at and ridiculed. Let us not forget those people. Okay? That's it for today, guys. That's it. We will see you. This is Properly Paranoid signing out. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye now. Have a good one. Night, night.